Hello everyone. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for kissing my brother leading to my fiancé wanting to break up with me since he finds it weird? Me, 25F, and my brother, 17M, have been close since childhood. It wouldn't be a lie to say that our main love language is physical touch. I see him as my baby. He's adorable and such a sweet kid. We hug, cuddles, and he also relies on me emotionally a lot. Now comes my fiancé, 29M. We've been together for 3 years now, and he knows that I'm close with my brother. I moved in with my fiancé last year, so I don't even get to meet my brother that often, so every time I meet and hug him, my fiancé had always made some passing remarks like "whoa there" or "you guys sure are close." I just roll my eyes since I thought he was joking back then. But 5 days back, it was my mom's birthday, and it's been 4 months since I saw my family IRL, aside from video calls, as we live in different cities. It was a small party with relatives, and I was happy to be there. We were planning to stay for the night and leave the next morning. At night, me and fiancé was up watching a movie when my brother knocked and came inside asking if we could talk. My fiancé gave me a side eye, but I got up and followed him. I asked him what was wrong. He said he missed me and that he's been having a hard time at school since he's struggling with his studies. He's a smart kid. He's at the top of his school, unlike me, and I knew he always had stress issues. He also mentioned how his friends are being very rude to him in one way or the other, and this made him cry while talking about it, so obviously, I was consoling him. We talked for around 1 hour before I hugged him saying everything will be fine, and this is when my fiancé walked in and asked, "Are you guys done?" He sounded upset and he could have phrased it better, but after a few more minutes, I got up, gave my brother a kiss on the cheek, and told him we could continue to talk tomorrow. But once I got inside the room with my fiancé, I think hell broke loose. He started telling me how gross I was for kissing my own brother. He said he was already upset that I have hugged, cuddled, and had my brother lay on my lap before on other occasions, but now the kissing was the final nail in coffin. He said that I prioritize my brother more than I do for him, which is not true at all. I hardly see my brother ever since I moved out. He also said that I'm not seeing my brother as my family and that our relationship is not normal. He literally told me you guys are in love and is having an affair. And that he hates how we touch each other since it comes off sexual. I'm aware a lot of siblings don't do physical touch, but it doesn't say anywhere doing it is wrong. I don't understand what is sexual about this. Please help me understand. These made me feel so awful, so I told him that my then father, separated now, was really abusive to my mom, me, and my brother as kids, which often makes me feel like I should protect him, and that's all there is to it. But he didn't even let me explain before he just left the room. The next day, he called his mom and said he wanted to break off with me. I talked to her myself and she said I should stay away from my brother if the marriage has to happen since it could affect my fiancé mentally, as he is a single child, so he wouldn't understand how siblings feel. She said it's better for both of us. Now I'm so conflicted because I don't understand what I did wrong. I never felt like I did anything to warrant a breakup. I love my brother and I love my fiancé too. I knew my fiancé always made backhanded remarks about my brother before, but it never crossed my mind he took it so seriously until that day. Please, am I the bad person? Am I really acting weird with my brother? If I am, please tell me what I can do to not be like this that wouldn't hurt my brother in the process too. What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for not taking one for the team and not paying for my SIL and her family to come on our spring break trip? Twice a year, my wife, 3 kids, and I go on a trip with just us. During spring break, it is a domestic trip. During summer, it is an international trip. These 2 trips are my favorite things we do throughout the year. We live very frugally throughout the year, but during these trips, we do it big. The money for the trips comes from separate, non-martial passive income one have from a family commercial real estate business. In case anyone is wondering, we have a prenup. After our trip last summer, my SIL, wife's sister, told my wife that her husband and her were going to save up and come on next year's trips, i.e. the 2025 trips, with their 2 kids. My wife didn't push back. I heard about this a couple of months later and was quite frustrated. I do not like my SIL at all, it is a long story. My wife convinced me to be okay with it by laying out that they will get their own accommodations and outside some shared meals. I did not need to spend much time with her. Well, in January, my BIL's job issued a return to the office directive. He was working remotely and lived out of the state of his office. They offered a short window for anyone who did not want to return to resign and get a good severance package. He resigned and took the severance. After that happened, they decided they could not come on the trip. There is a chance they will need to sell their house and move in with my in-laws. Well, about 2 weeks ago, my MIL, wife, and SIL were spending the day together. My SIL kept being up how upset she was about the whole thing and about how much she was looking forward to the trip. My MIL pulled my wife aside and said, "I know y'all can pay for the trip. Just pay for it." So, my wife offered for us to pay for it. After my wife told me this, I was livid. I said, "You want me to pay for the terrible experience of doing this trip with your sister?" "No, I will not do it under any circumstances. This is a 2 yes and 1 no situation. I am a no, so she isn't coming. My wife thinks I should take one for the team and pay. I refuse. I do feel bad for her kids. But I am not paying for the displeasure of being around my SIL. Heck, I have offered to take her kids only on the trip. I would be fine with that. They can stay with us. But, right now, I am left with either effectively doubling the cost of the trip or having them stay with us on the trip, which is counter to why I agreed to let her come in the first place. Am I the bad person? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for feeding my husband well, causing sister-in-law's husband to insult her for not doing the same? Recently, I hosted a dinner party for my husband's birthday. The whole family was there, and it was nice. After dinner, I started preparing my husband's lunch for the following day. Background: my husband comes from a very liberal family. I come from a very conservative family. While I vote blue, I still have a lot of conservative tendencies, I guess. My husband makes more money and pays most of the bills, and I'm grateful for this. Because of this, I do most of the chores and cooking. I only work part-time and we don't have children, so I easily have the time to do this. He makes me happy, so I try to make him happy too. Anyways, my husband and his brother work together. I pack my husband pretty nice lunches. That particular night, I was preparing him brisket sandwiches and some sides. I had been letting the brisket smoke all day, so it was finally ready. BIL commented on how nice the brisket smells and how he was jealous that my husband always has such good lunches. He said he's lucky if his wife will pack him a ham and cheese sandwich. His wife said, "You're a grown man, you can make your own sandwiches," which made me laugh, because it's definitely true. He got mad and pointed out that I work part-time, but I still make the time to cook for my husband, and that since she doesn't work at all, she should have plenty of time. At this point, I was super uncomfortable and disappeared myself to a part of the kitchen where I couldn't see them. They got in a screaming match, until eventually BIL went outside to smoke. SIL came into the kitchen to heat up a bottle for their youngest. She kind of tore into me and said that I should have waited till after they left to start on lunch, but they tend to leave really late, and by that point I'm ready to pass out. She said that he always gives her shit for not packing him lunches, and that I should let my husband deal with his own lunch for a change. I told her that her marriage is her business, and if she doesn't want to make lunches for her husband, that's fine, but I'm going to do what I want to do, and my marriage is a lot happier than hers, so I must be doing something right, and she needs to mind her own business. I also pointed out that BIL has always been an asshole his whole life, and if she didn't like it, she shouldn't have picked him as the guy she wanted to marry and have kids with. Am I the bad person? The whole family kind of thinks SIL is the asshole, but I've been feeling guilty. Can't wrap my head around that story. What do you think? Who is in the wrong there? Let us know down in the comments section, and let's move on to our last case. Case 4. Am I the bad person for refusing to give up my first-class seat for my pregnant sister-in-law? A few weeks ago, my husband, 35M, and I, 32F, planned a vacation to Europe. We booked everything months in advance, including first-class seats for the 10-hour flight. We don't fly often, but we had saved up for this trip, and since I have chronic back issues, flying economy for that long would have been miserable. Enter my brother, 38M, and his wife, 36F, who is currently 6 months pregnant. They weren't originally supposed to come, but after hearing about our trip, they decided to book last-minute tickets and join us. Cool, no problem, except they could only afford economy seats. Again, not my issue. Fast forward to the day of the flight. As soon as we got to the gate, my SIL started dropping hints about how uncomfortable she was going to be in economy. Then, just before boarding, my brother outright asked if I'd be willing to switch seats with SIL so she could rest and stretch out during the flight. I was honestly shocked and said, "No, we paid for these seats months ago, and I need it for my back." SIL looked upset and started saying she was going to be so cramped and that it wasn't fair since I wasn't pregnant. My brother then said, "Come on, it's just basic human decency." At this point, my husband stepped in and said, "If she's uncomfortable, you should have booked her a better seat. That's not our problem." We boarded while my brother and SIL glared at us, and they barely spoke to us the entire trip. When we landed, I got a text from my mom saying I was selfish for not giving up my seat and that I should have prioritized family over comfort. She said I should have just sat with my husband in economy since he was already there. He prefers economy because he sleeps easily on flights. I told her if it was that important, she could reimburse me for my ticket. Cue radio silence. Now my brother and SIL are still annoyed, and my mom is making passive-aggressive comments about how I don't care about family. Am I the bad person for keeping the seat I paid for instead of giving it to my pregnant SIL? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.